Welcome to Satsang. The last couple of emails I got, people were asking me about the law of attraction. You know The Secret? How many of you have seen the movie The Secret? Oh wow, okay, so you're familiar with that. Anyway, so people were very curious, and I thought, well, I'll just do a little brief talk about it. And, you know, the story started with Esther Hicks. She's a channeler. Bless her heart. Her husband died recently of cancer. And while she was channeling Abraham, he started talking about the law of attraction. Of course, as you know, the law of attraction is the law of mind, right? And some people who are very shrewd businessmen thought, wow, this is a fantastic idea to make a movie. Anyway, to make a long story short, they did a fantastic job. I saw it and I was impressed. There was a lot of hype, but it was good, okay? But they only covered about 1/10 of the law of mind, what the people wanted to hear. Because it's very, it's a good sales appeal when you tell the people what they can get. You know, the human is always wanting, needing, seeking, striving, okay? And what it's seeking and wanting and striving for all the time is itself, because you're a human being, a being playing the human role, you see? So all the time you're changing yourself, but of course you don't know that. So you do it through the world. And so this movie proved extremely popular and they made millions from it. But what I'd like to cover is the whole idea. First of all, the law of attraction really does work. It's powerful, and it came into being from when time was born, when creation started. That's the law of mind. But the law states that you become what you focus on. Just a few days ago I was going shopping, you know, to Capers. It's no longer Capers, it's Whole Foods. Yeah, and I saw a young man sitting in the corner in the rain begging for money. And it just, you know, it just pulled at my heart. Well, what that has to do with the law of attraction? Everything. The law of attraction states that you become what you focus on. Maybe he felt very unloved, maybe he felt very unworthy, and so this is what became of him, because he created a self-image. So the law of attraction is every human being that you meet, because you can actually see the self-image just by looking at them. And that self-image is implanted through what the person focuses on. So you become that which you focus on, because that is the nature of the mind. It materializes whatever you think about, whatever you believe. In the 60s, and I forgot their names, I'm sorry, my memory for names is not the best, but in the 60s there were two authors, nutrition experts. And they claimed in these books, and they were totally different writing this book, you know, from a different city, but it happened in the same year. They wrote a book how to heal cancer or not get cancer through nutrition. Well, anyway, to make a long story short, it was well researched, the book sold extremely well. But you know what happened? They both died of cancer. Okay? So the point I'm trying to make here is that what you focus on, automatically you bring into your life. I had a man about 1.5 years ago. He came to see me and he said, Burt, all I want is success in business. This is my interest, not spirituality. And so he said, and the law of attraction doesn't work, and I want to know why. And I've heard that you do hypnotherapy, so I just like to know why. So I had him lie down. And we discovered, very briefly, that his father used to say to him, you'll never amount to anything, you're a klutz. And it stayed with him. this feeling, that he'll never amount to anything. So no matter what he tried, the subconscious kept that feeling back, you see. And he manifested that, and now he's doing well, because I heard from him just a couple of weeks ago. So anyway, so that's the law of attraction. It is very, very powerful. The law of attraction goes into quite a lot more, not only your self-image, but also the needs that you have developed as a child. If as a child, for example, you didn't receive love from your parents, or you felt abandoned, or maybe there was no father, and you develop certain tendencies that might stay for the rest of your life. The Sufis have called it the Enneagrams, you know, but I call it soul type, because I think that's quite appropriate. And there are 9 types of people. Now, what is important is that they are the product of the law of attraction. But one thing that I'd like to stress here for people who are listening to this is that the law of attraction is not the secret. The real secret is being. And we'll discuss that in a moment. So when we are deprived of the very love that we need, because we are love, our nature is love, it's the most powerful need of all, then you develop 9 different ways in which you seek God, seek love. God and love are synonymous, okay? It is that perfection of being. So this is what we're seeking all the time, but we don't know it. So it comes as a need, and this need sometimes stays for the whole of one's life, and it's called the Enneagram, okay? Very, very briefly, there are 9. The first one is a need for perfection. Number 2 is a need for love. Number 3 is a need for achievement. Number 4 is a need for personal identity. Number 5 is a need for knowledge. Knowledge. Number 6 is a need for security. Number 7 is a need for future planning. Number 8 is a need for control. And number 9 is a need for harmony. And when you have these needs, you look for them everywhere. But you never get what you really want. But you use them as a means to enhance yourself. For example, if you are a number 2, which is a very, very common number in the spiritual realms, and number 2s love spiritual fascination, you know what I mean by spiritual fascination. They don't go for the non-duality, for the truth, for the direct truth. They go into reincarnation, karma, chakras, kundalini, angels. They're valid, but it's a way not to lose your identity, because one thing stands very clearly, which you don't hear from the law of attraction, because it's mental, it's a mind, is the truth of being. And the truth of being is, okay, let me say this to show you the contrast between the two aspects of human and being. The human part is always seeking, always wanting, always needing, but it's always seeking itself without knowing it. But it does it through the world. And so, for example, if somebody wants success, I want $1 million, I want to be somebody. Why? Why do you want to be somebody? Because you have a hole in you. You have an emptiness in you. You want to be somebody because you don't want to be nobody. Well, now let's jump to being. Being is the willingness to be ordinary and to be nobody. The willingness to see that the identity you think you have is just imagination. It was Assaggiola, Dr. Assaggiola, the founder of psychosynthesis, and he said 95% of our energy is spent protecting, defending, and maintaining our self-image, and it's all imagination. And it's true, the mind is all imagination, from beginning to end. But there's something greater than imagination, and that's called being. But being, you see, being is a very hard thing. Can you make a movie out of being? If it was possible, nobody would show up. Nobody would watch it. What? Because being means there's no journey. Being means there's nowhere to go. Being means there is nothing to attain. Being means there's nothing to achieve or accomplish, and being means there's nothing to be fixed. What it means is a very simple thing. Here, now, this moment, it is complete. And when you begin to see that this moment is complete, which is being, to be, the identity that you have and everything else, you don't actually lose it. It's just not important anymore. But it's still there, you're always there. But you don't, there is no before for you and there's no after, there's just this moment. And then this moment, now when we say this moment, the mind says, what about the next moment? Or if you say now, what about now and then? So please understand that the mind is always in duality. Always there is a next thing. In being there is no next thing. There is this. Only this. You see? Now this is frightening to the average person who doesn't understand it, because you mean I should not set any goals? I should not plan? I should not do this? There is no such thing. What you want more than anything, is love, peace, security, safety, and happiness. But these things you cannot get through the law of attraction. Did you know that? You cannot get them. Because the law of attraction, you manifest through what you focus on, and you get the tangible result. But the being is. It is. Okay? That's just like Jesse wrote something very beautiful. He realized what God is. That made me very happy. God is, because there's nothing more beautiful than actually realizing the isness of this moment. There is nothing than that. When you realize the isness of this moment, let's find out what it is we want most. Happiness. It is the isness of this moment. Security. Take the richest men in the world. You think they feel secure? No, seriously, no, because they're still afraid of death. They still don't want to grow old. You see? But the person who sees themselves as nothing, they are being, playing this role. So they cannot die because they were never born. They're just being. Okay? Are we understanding a little bit being? What being really means? Because it's the most beautiful word that there is. It's been called many other things, of course. The Bhagavan Maharshi calls it the self. But it doesn't matter what you call it. And that is everything that your heart yearns for. You see? If you want security, for example, yeah, you might feel a little bit secure if you're still a young man and you have $1 million to play around with. But soon you're going to meet your mortality. Soon you're going to see that the person you think you are never really existed except in your mind. You are, you see? You are this I am. So that is the security, you see? Feel it. Feel it now. You just are. And you know that there's no past, there's no future. Because there's no next to now. See, there's no exit to this moment. The moment is forever. Another 1,000,000 years from now, it will still be this moment. Do you understand that, right? So if you feel that, that is security. Because now we transcend time and space. Not only that, we transcend time and space, but we realize that time and space is really non-existent. Right now, you see, in technology, we are moving so rapidly. So rapidly. Like I Skype people every day now, from all over the world. And they are in the living room. This is my equipment that I use Skyping. And they're from India, China, from all over the world. And they are in the living room. So there's no time and space, is there? The time is different, the day is different. You see? But we are here together, talking, exploring. Now where do we go from here? So So this is it. This is the most scary thing, is when you begin to realize you are a being. Then something in you gets a little shocked, because the you that you thought you were is not as solid as you thought it was. You see? But the initial shock, once you get over it, then you start to move into something entirely different. And that something entirely different is the realization that you are. So the God that you've been praying to, and the infinite universe that you thought was outside of you, you begin to have glimpses that it is this oneness that is doing everything through you. You know, when I first read, you know, from Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi, you know, there is no choice, there is no free will, there is no this, there is no that. I couldn't understand it, you know, but I choose all the time. I choose to raise my arm now, you see. I choose to talk. But you know, in retrospect, as I look back into my life, and I saw my life pass by, which I did a few years ago, I found that everything that I did was never done through personal choice. It just happened. It just happened. So I'd love to have some feedback here, because I'm sure that I'm missing a lot of points I want to discuss between these two. Okay, one is mind, and the other one is being, human being. The human loves the law of attraction, because according to the secret and the way it's been put, I can have anything I want. You see, and it's a beautiful thought, but you cannot have what you want. You can only have what you believe you can get, or what you focus on. See, another thing that happened to me, I had another man say the same thing to me. He says, you know, how come that I can never get what I'm, excuse me, what I'm visualizing all the time? Why aren't I getting this? And then I find out the same thing again. There is a conflict between the conscious and subconscious mind. You see? The conscious mind says, this is what I want. I want to be rich. You see? But why does he want to be rich? Because he's not happy being poor. And he's not happy being poor because being poor to him feels like, I'm not talking about real poverty here, okay? I'm talking about you don't make more than $5,000 a month. So when you begin to think yourself as poor, then you begin to say, gee, I want more because I want to travel, I want to do this and I want to do that, and I don't have the means to do it. So, but if I do it, I'm going to feel much better. So you want it because it gives you a sense of freedom. You see? But your subconscious mind is saying, who are you kidding? You're not good enough, or you don't deserve it, or you don't really want this. You see? So there's a conflict between the subconscious and the conscious mind. So whatever you say you want, the subconscious will win out every time. Because the subconscious is 10 times more powerful than your conscious mind. So are there any questions at all? I'd like to see different ways of looking at this. Now you've all seen the movie The Secret. What did you feel about it?
Cheap.
Hmm?
Cheap. I don't remember seeing it. I've read this this blog where a few days ago about law of attraction, where there's a statistics that was done about a lot of people were unsatisfied after going through the secret, where they felt like they didn't achieve anything, didn't get what they wanted, and it's because of that. It's just that the actual secret that is already what we already are is has turned into kind of like a mirage, and it's a vicious cycle, and
right.
And what I've come to a conclusion, it's a backwards movement. It's like knowing that we are is truly when our world becomes our playground, and everything around us is like it's just like fulfillment is not going to come from the object, but it's already here, and knowing the fulfillment's already here now, ever present, eternal, and then it's like, wow, like I can do whatever I want. It's like there's no limit. Like I feel
Exactly.
like I have a purpose, and so it's like it's a backwards thing.
Right. Actually, the law of attraction, which is mind, and the being are working in opposite poles, really. So people who focus totally on the law of attraction, oh, I'm going to use it, because right now there are many businesses opening up called the law of attraction. Did you know that? There are singles clubs now, they're called law of attraction. You know, and find out your perfect mate through the law of attraction. Oh yeah, it's big business now. But you see, there's another thing. Nothing happens by chance. You know, there's nothing more powerful when an idea reaches its time to be. You know what I mean? Like, when it's time for that idea to flourish, nothing can stop it. Just like when the time came to have a radio. The whole world had radios. When the time came for cars, everybody started having cars, television. Then when computers started, everybody now has computer. You see what I mean? So this is the, when an idea is born, nothing can stop it. It's time for it, you see? And the time for the law of attraction is important, and now people are finding that it's not what it's supposed to be from listening to the movie. Okay, because it cannot work that way, you see? Because even the fact that you want such incredible acquisition means that somehow or other you suffer a lack. You want to compensate, you see? So that in itself is going to stop you from achieving what you want. But the law of attraction is not you get what you want. The law of attraction is saying you become what you focus on.
I was very saddened by the whole thing, the book and the movie, because it just seemed to me that the only result it had was a huge increase in cynicism out there, and it also highlighted, as you said, it highlighted a big need nowadays for almost like I want a magical something magic to happen to me that will transport me out of this uncertain world that I live in. You know, we can't all be. And it put forward the idea that if I do something, X, Y, and Z, I will get something, A, B, and C, which is exactly wrong. I mean, you have to become the kind of person who can live in this whatever this lifestyle is that you're looking for, or whatever you want. You have to become that kind of person. If you do, then you might live like that.
Right.
But to become that kind of person is not the result of if I just follow these little exercises or and it implied that all of the great people in the world who've done in human terms great things did so because they followed this little practice and had great ideas and became great because they wanted to be great or something like that. I thought it was a huge setback actually.
It is, yeah. First of all, nothing happens by chance, and there are no accidents in the world. So the great people who achieved what they achieved, it was because it was meant for them to achieve it. And it is this. When you begin to follow being, there is such a relaxation in it, such a repose, such peace will come. Because everything is really taken care of. There's another thing, you see, that most people are not aware of, and it's so wonderful to be aware of it. Your script is already written. It's already done. And the Course in Miracles is very clear on that. You see? In other words, we are reliving already what we have, this life that we're living now has already been lived. And we're going through the motions. You see? Now you might say, but if everything is predetermined, this life is complete cycle, it's a script, it's already written, then what's the point of going through it? Well, there is a point, you see. It's not that I want to go back into the reincarnation and karma and all this, but it's valid in the sense that somehow or other in this lifetime we have certain things we need to clean out, certain things that we need to learn from. And the Course in Miracles is very beautiful in this case because it uses being called forgiveness, so that we start forgiving when we identify too strongly with our ego. We keep forgiving and forgiving. So we are undoing our script in a sense, and there's in this undoing there's what is called time lapse, not time lapse. we're actually collapsing time in our favor. You see? Examples have been given. For example, a man goes out of a theater and he found that he went to the wrong theater. He wanted to go to another one. And when he gets out, he gets met by a master who tells him, he says, the reason you chose to go to this theater and you made a mistake is because if you went to the other theater, you would have been in a very bad car accident. But because you've been forgiving yourself, because you have been living a purer life, you collapse time in your favor. So now when you got out of this theater, you were saved to that particular accident. See? So nothing happens by chance. Whatever happens to us, and it's all a process of learning to go through it. And that's also part of the being. See, another thing about being, which is so beautiful, is that being is made up of awareness. You're just aware, right? And it is not you who's aware, it's just awareness, aware of itself. See, because awareness has two aspects. One, it is self-recognizing, and two, it is self-organizing. See, self-recognizing means, for example, and this is a very easy example to give, I say to you, how do you know you exist? And you'll say, well, of course I know. And I'll say, well, how do you know? And you say, because I'm aware that I exist. Ah, you're aware that you exist. You see? So awareness is self-recognizing. And because it's self-recognizing, it is holographic. So every human being on this earth, over 6 billion people, are all the same awareness you are. Not what they're aware of, that's consciousness. The pure awareness. You know, you sit here and you're just here. There's really nobody here except the mind body, you know. But all that is I'm aware. You see, but who is aware? Awareness itself, self-recognizing. That is the beauty. Oneness, aware of itself. Oneness is doing everything. And then you might say, if I live without goals, if I don't do this, if I don't do that, if I stay in bed all day long. But you don't, you won't. Because it is self-organizing. It will act through you. You see? And when you trust it completely and you live in the moment, it will act through you in ways you never dreamed possible.
It beats the secret out of the park. It's like,
oh
way
yeah,
better than The
yeah. How to do nothing and achieve success.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's a good title for a book.
That's very good.
And too much emphasis is placed on being a success and being somebody and reaching somewhere. You see, and the whole, and we're now entering 2012. See, when this came on, the law of attraction, it was time for it to be. And it was time for people to be disappointed in it. And to see that it doesn't work. There's something greater and better. You see? And now we're going to enter another one, and it's called the Non-Duality. There is no person. It's very shocking. Nobody told us that. 20 years ago, if you heard it, you would have been floored. Or somebody is lying to you. But that is the truth. There was never a personal identity. There was never a person. It just seemed. Because when you were 3 years old, your mother said, John. And you said, yes, mommy. And at that moment, duality was born. There's me and her. You see? And then, of course, you've been told you're a good boy, or you're a bad boy, or you do this, or you do that. So that went into the basket of your personality, and your ego was formed. But when you look back, you see that what you are made up of is this personality that made up of all these ideas and conditions that you were brought up in. It's a conditioned thing. But there is something in you, a drive, which is relentless. You see? This drive for your being, this drive. But sometimes it misleads us because we think it's for a particular thing. Like, okay, take the example of what is happening now. not only with the law of attraction, but with the singles. You know, many single businesses now are coming forward, you know, and and everybody is looking for a mate. Well, we're going through that stage now. Why? Because we are moving into a stage where the law of attraction is also making us aware that falling in love is a wonderful thing. Being in love with someone, having a partner. But what is falling in love? What is love? I'm talking about falling in love. What is it?
Falling in love with yourself.
It is. It opens you'll meet somebody who has the same chemistry like you feel this incredible attraction, and for the moment there is absence of self. So the love that you are flowers, and you feel this incredible love, but then because your mind is in terms of thinking of me and her, you begin to think of her as the catalyst of your feeling of love. But it isn't, you see? So what you are in love is really with love itself. So if the other person sees it the same way and both of you see it, then we go into the arithmetic that is totally different. You see, logical arithmetic is this: 1 and 1 is 2, right? In spirituality, 1 and 1 equals 1. Very good. Yeah, because everything is oneness. Everything. So you bring one, you bring another one, put them together, and you still have one. Okay? So that is the arithmetic of the spiritual life, is that everything is being drawn towards this oneness. And that's why we want to fall in love. That's why we're always seeking a lover, a partner. You see? But what is also happening in this year is that many relationships are breaking up. You see, many things are going haywire. You see, because our value system is getting rechecked, is being looked at, and we're beginning to see that special relationships do not work, but a holy relationship does. Holy relationship, I have to refer to what the Course in Miracles says. It says that a holy relationship is when there's total and absolute forgiveness all the time. So you accept each other as you are without trying to change the other person, without any control at all. And that makes a perfect relationship. So we are seeing here the duality between the law of attraction, which is the law of mind, and then we're seeing being. When we talk about being, there is the idea that being is something. Being is absolutely nothing. That is its beauty. It's absolutely nothing. I'll give you an idea what I mean by nothing. You know, right now the mind is very busy. It's always thinking, always thinking. That's its nature. Many people write me and they say, I want to stop thinking. Good luck. Okay, so because the activity is the mind is thought. But now become very still and look at a wall, look at space in a wall where there is nothing. Look at it and do not move your eyeballs, just for a few seconds. Become very still. Okay. Now, when you become very still, we don't have much time to kind of, half hour to do this, but when you become very still and you look at a blank wall and there's no thinking, you don't move your eyes, because if you think, the eyes move immediately. Did you know that? You look straight. What happens when you look at a blank wall? There is a silence that comes into you. There is an energy that comes into you. This nothingness that we fear so much is the being. You see, to be. You don't do anything, you just, you know, it's called surrender, it's called accepting, it's called loving, it's called forgiveness, it's called letting go. It's called many things. Being is what it's all about. When Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi used to talk, he says there's only the self. The self, he meant being, you see, to be. Because it's everywhere, you see it everywhere and is everything. And when you follow that, you can be said to be successful in life. Because at that moment, the word success, now I'm talking about it in a different way. It means everything is okay, you see. You know, yeah. And you find that everything is okay. And if you need something, it shows up. And you're always there at the right time, at the right place, meeting the right people, because you're being led by a power, you see, which is your very being. So this is the beauty of you. The beauty of you is the nothingness that you are, you see. And the nothingness that you are is everything.